Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and I am finishing off the last half of the rock and roll medley from the Live 73 album, Captured, on the Magician's Birthday Tour. And that's just perfect because this is the Magician's Podcast. I love the way it all worked out. So where we were last on yesterday's episode, we were going through the medley. There's 6 songs in the medley. We hit the end of the third one, the very short played Mean Woman Blues. And that's fine because I don't want to hear about mean women and it shouldn't be bluesy. So we're going to get into Hound Dog next, which they just kind of jump right into. Now, this song was written by Jerry Leiber and Mike Stoller and was recorded originally in 1952 by Big Mama Thornton, who I have never heard of. So I may have heard the version. I wouldn't know it was them. I wouldn't even know who they are. It was later re-recorded by Elvis Presley. And again, that version made it into the top 500 greatest songs of all time, according to Rolling Stone magazine. And apparently they would know. Again, I would love to know, for one, I mean, that would have to change every year, wouldn't it? Because new songs are written. Some songs might be better than songs that are on that list. So it's like you'd have to constantly be changing out songs, 500 of them. That'd be such a nightmare to maintain. And you know, what's the criteria? I would really love to know what the criteria is for that. I mean, unless you're using something like sales figures, which again, you would still have to modify every year. I can't imagine what consistent criteria you could use to judge what the 500 greatest songs of all time really are. And I mean, certainly, you know, you'd have to do one by each genre of music. You'd have to do one. I don't even know if you could do one by like era, like the best 500 greatest songs of the 80s or something like that, you know, because the sound, of course, we had so many different sounds within the 80s. The early 80s sounded different than the mid and late 80s. So I don't know. The whole thing is pretty silly to me, but it is an honor to be included on that list. I mean, to write something or record something that somebody says, hey, this is one of the greatest things that's ever been done. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I think about that recent interview I saw with Metallica where Elton John was on via satellite and he's talking to Metallica. I would have never put those two together. Like, I wouldn't think, wow, Elton John probably listens to Metallica, because judging by the music he writes, there's nothing that says he likes heavy metal music. That doesn't mean he doesn't. That just might not be what he performs, but he might love listening to it. Who knows? So he was on via satellite and he was saying to James Hetfield that is the greatest song, or one of the greatest songs ever written. I can't imagine what that must have been like for James Hetfield, who almost didn't even bring this song to the band because he didn't feel it hit what Metallica does. So he almost didn't present it at all. And, you know, Lars kind of talked him into it. He presented it. They did the song. And then Elton John says it's one of the greatest things that's ever been done. I can't even imagine what that must have felt like. That's pretty cool. If one person likes one of my songs, I'm pretty happy. So I can't imagine, you know, the likes of Elton John saying something like that to me. That's, even if you're not a fan of his music, how can you not just, you know, break down in grateful tears? Because that's just such an incredible thing to be told. Especially from someone who's that high up in the musical history, pretty amazing. But anyway, Elton John didn't have anything to do with this song. Here is Hound Dog, where Uriah Heep did it. I haven't heard any guitars in a little while now that I think about it. I do like the addition of the organ, though. That's kind of nice. It's a little bit off time, but breaks up that just, you know, bass and drums and vocals kind of thing that they're doing for the transitions. Adds a nice little color, nice little flavor to it, gives you something else to focus on besides just that, repetitive. You can't just do every song like that and then end it. I mean, that would drive me nuts. And I would definitely say they shouldn't do that. But this is pretty cool. I often wondered, though, thinking about the lyrics of the song, you ain't nothing but a hound dog rocking all the time. Well, this was around like the beginning of rock. So what were they doing that would have been considered rocking? I mean, were they listening to like the 5 songs that existed before this and just constantly listening to them? I don't know. That's kind of a weird thing to me. If that song came out in the 60s, I could say, okay, well, there was plenty of music to rock to by then. But here, I don't know, it's just a little fortune telling.
Caught no rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Oh, 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 oh.
At first I thought that was a guitar effect, but I think that was actually them making those sounds. Well, it might be a strange comparison, but that kind of reminded me a little bit of the opening of one of the versions of Bird of Prey. Actually, I think they both had that part in it where they just kind of like staggered the vocals coming in really quickly. But pretty cool. It's nice to hear, their voices together, but kind of isolated from, all the tones that we usually hear in the music while they're doing this. It's nice to just be able to focus on what they're doing without a whole bunch of other sound. I like that last little ba. That was nice. They're going to go into another song now, and that one is called At the Hop. Now, At the Hop was written by Artie singer John Medora and David White. Not Dave White, David White. Completely different guy. I don't think Dave White would have been anywhere near old enough in 1957 to have written this rock hit. But I don't know. Maybe he's older than he sounds. He's not. This one was originally recorded by Danny and the Juniors, a band I'm not familiar with at all, in 1957, and was eventually performed at the 1969 Woodstock Festival by the band Sha-Na-Na, which is kind of surprising to me. I did not know that Sha-Na-Na performed at Woodstock. That's certainly different. They were if you remember the movie The Outsiders, you had the Greasers and the Socias. They were definitely like the Greasers. They wore black T-shirts, had the gel in their hair, slicked back. Bowser had an incredibly baritone voice, and he actually went on to be a game show host, interestingly enough. Really, really interesting stuff. I had no idea that they were even there. But let's get into a little bit of At the Hop.
Well, you can rock it, you can roll it, you can even try to move it at the hop. You can rock it, you can roll it, you can even try to move it at the hop. Oh, you cats and chicks gotta get your kicks at the hop. Well, you can rock it, you can roll it, you can even try to move it at the hop. Well, you can rock it, you can roll it, you can even try to move it at the hop. Oh, you cats and chicks gotta get their kicks at the hop. Everybody sing this.
It's really interesting how much they've backed off of their instruments through the last couple of songs that we've gone through here. I thought it really started, the whole medley started out kind of on fire with Mick playing this explosive stuff, basically soloing through that whole first song. And now the last couple songs have mostly just been drums and vocals, maybe a little bit of bass. For a 6-song medley, I would have thought there would be a little bit more instrumentation going on, but maybe they've got something planned. I mean, we're only 5 minutes in and it's 8 minutes and 41 seconds. So there's still, almost 4 minutes to go.
Let's go to the hop. 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 Let's go to the hop.
Very interesting selective bass playing by Gary Thain. He cuts in at the beginning of the phrase, making you think that, okay, I'm joining into the song now. And then he stops before the whole phrase is through. And that's that until the next time it repeats. Really interesting. I'm not sure what to gather from that. He sounds good though. I mean, what he's playing definitely fits. He's well into the song. It's just, I don't know. I feel kind of cheated there. There should be at least a little bit more. But the vocals sound really nice here. You know, Lee's just playing solid. What's interesting to me is how many of these songs, the way that they're playing them, could almost be interchangeable. I mean, they could step right back into Blue Suede Shoes. They could go back to, you know, Mean Woman Blues or whatever they want to do. And maybe it's just because they're playing it this way, but it's like they all have similar type bass lines. You could just, you know, really, they're playing them all at the same tempo. So that, you know, that makes them a little bit more interchangeable when maybe the songs themselves aren't played it at the original tempos. But I don't know. I just feel like you could just, you know, put different songs into different measures and it really wouldn't make that much of a difference.
Let's go to the hop. 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 Ha. Let's go to the, one more time, come on. Let's go to the hop. To the hop, let's go to the hill.
Okay, I can hear some guitars coming back in. Maybe Mick is testing to make sure that he has sound, but doing it within, you know, the context of the song. Bass is back, which is nice. That's nice, you know, filling things in again where I thought he was going to do that earlier. I think the thing is that he started to do it and then he just kind of stopped and cut out of the song, then came back full force. It would have made more sense to do more of a build, like play that first part a couple times, then play the first and maybe, you know, the second or part of the second, and just kind of build it up instead of like playing a little bit, disappearing, and then coming in full force. That just feels really weird to me. Again, if I was at the show, I probably wouldn't even think twice about it. I would just be into what they're doing, not even thinking about how they're doing it. But when I'm listening to it at home on record, my mind just starts to think about those things. That's, again, why I don't like live albums that much, because the whole presentation is in a completely different context. And I feel that it's lost. And just that explanation of how I would be listening to this music at the show versus listening to it at home, that pretty much just really encompasses everything I've been saying about live albums for me, just for me. I know a lot of people love this album. I have nothing against it. It's more just the genre overall.
Baby, baby, shake. Shake, baby, shake. Shake, baby, shake.
Okay, so now they're getting into the last song in the medley, Whole Lot of Shakin' Going On. This one has a little bit of question as to who wrote it. It's credited to Dave Curly Williams, but it's also sometimes credited to James Fay Roy Hall. Go figure. This was first recorded by Big Maybell. I don't know who that is, not familiar with them at all. But the most common version was recorded by another alumni of the $1 Million Quartet, Jerry Lee Lewis, back in 1957. And I could tell that, obviously they were really big fans of this era. I wonder if Heep ever saw the $1 Million Quartet when they were on tour. They did tour through Europe. I don't know if they're still together on tour, but I know that they had been for a while. My friend Martin left the Vegas show to go do a European tour. So that was all pre-COVID, of course. So who knows? Heep was probably on the road. They probably don't get a chance to see a lot of things themselves because they're on the road a good chunk of the time. Unless they book an extra night. Like, let's say that they were to book an extra night in Vegas, and while they're here that extra night, they want to go see a Cirque du Soleil show because it's going to be an extra day before they need to be in LA or whatever. You know, that they would have to schedule things like that, I would imagine, because it would probably just be too difficult to just go see things spontaneously with the hectic tour schedule that they have. And, that's a shame because they're probably missing out on some great art themselves. But you know what? They love being on tour and creating new things. So, like me, I like to see things every once in a while, but honestly, I'd rather be just sitting here creating new things. That's more my jam. So that will get us into a whole lot of shaking going on, regardless of who wrote it.
Shake, baby, shake. Shake, baby, shake. Shake, baby, shake. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it.
I like having Ken and Mick back in the mix of things here. Ken's playing some nice stuff to keep the song flowing really well. Mick's really got some nice muted stuff that he's playing, doing a little bit of fills here and there. Pretty cool, though. It's definitely got that, 50s feel to it, with the exception of the organ, because I can't think of a single song that I know of from the 50s that would have had a distorted Hammond B3 on it. But in any case, this sounds really good. I really like it.
Shake it, baby, shake it. Come on. Shake it, baby, shake it. 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 Are you having a good time? Is everybody having a good
Well, thank you guys for proving my point about the interchangeability of these songs, at least in this particular setting, with the same tempo being used for all the songs. That was actually a very simple transition. But again, like, all these songs have walking bass lines. That makes things really, really easy to just go from one to another, especially if you're playing them all, like I said, at the same tempo. I kind of like that they're going back now to a different one instead of just playing this one for another 2 minutes out of an 8.5 minute song. That would have been an awful long time to just focus on a whole lot of shaking going on. Nice little interaction with the crowd from David. That was pretty cool. But I like that we're now hearing the band play the song instead of just that, bass and drums and vocals, or occasional bass with the drums and vocals. This is like a good culmination for everything that they've been building up to for the last 6 3/4 minutes. So here we are back to what I said very early on in this song when we had the full band. I kind of feel like the organ is just a little bit too loud. It's kind of drowning out everything. It's not just in the right ear. It's like in the right and center. So it's dominating the audio. And then plus it's just a little bit too loud and kind of subduing the vocals a little bit. You can still hear them, but they're more buried now. I feel like we're missing some stuff Mick is probably doing, or at least I am in my headphones. I just can't hear a whole lot of guitar. I'm hearing mostly organ and vocals and drums, and I guess a little bit of bass cutting through. So, would like to know what everybody's doing, but overall, it's not too bad. Oh, okay. I actually can pick out Mick. He's just playing rhythm along to that, and then doing some little fillers there towards the end while Ken's playing. That's actually really nice. I just couldn't pick up on the guitar before.
We'll see you again.
Wow, you can even hear that analog hiss in there. Love that. So that was actually a really good ending. A nice little surprise there at the end. I like the way that they wrapped that up really nicely. So that was Roll Over Beethoven, Blue Suede Shoes, Mean Woman Blues, Hound Dog, At the Hop, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, and again, Blue Suede Shoes. Pretty well done. I still personally would have preferred to hear some originals. I mean, to have that instead of, say, do a songs like maybe Blind Eye or Poet's Justice or something else. I think I would have liked to have had maybe a couple of more originals, but that's just me. Typically when I go to see a band, I want to see their songs. I don't really want to see them doing other people's songs, but every once in a while it's nice to have a cover here and there. Yeah, pretty good overall. I'd have to say the whole album really is really good. It's a solid live album. I think it captured some really good performances over the 2 or 3 nights that this was recorded. Very, very cool. It's really interesting to see how they were live versus what I've seen nowadays, where it's, a little, I don't know if more polished is the thing. I mean, certainly from a technological standpoint, the sound is better. And again, this was recorded and then remixed for release after the fact. So I think that, some of these songs could have been mixed a little bit better, especially like I said in the medley and a couple others where I thought the organ was kind of drowning everything out a little bit. And then the organ itself gets so distorted that it's like Ken is doing a solo, but you can only hear like certain notes that he's hitting, and he's doing more than that. So yeah, I think this could have been mixed a little bit better. But overall, the album on the whole, I think it has a very, very solid mix to it. There's just a couple parts here and there that I think, could have been done better. But hell, I could say that about my own songs, and I'm the one that mixes them. So that's fair. But yeah, very cool album. I'm really glad that Dave asked me to do this. I'm glad that you guys have enjoyed these episodes. Remember to stay tuned tomorrow for the next season, season 28, where I'm covering the Lansdowne tapes. Just 6 songs, guys, because like I said, I covered Born in a Trunk, both versions of that in the first season of the show. Now, I will say that there are a lot, if you get the deluxe edition of the Lansdowne tapes, there are a lot of tracks. But a lot of those tracks were covered because they are bonus tracks on the deluxe CDs of the individual albums, all the ones that are titled under Uriah Heep. There may be 1 or 2 versions that I didn't cover, but I'm not going to go back and do those. I've already covered those songs, and some of them in multiple versions. So, but check it out. I mean, it might be worth your interest if you like the songs that you hear from Spice, the ones that are credited to Spice. Those might be ones that you want to get. But honestly, like the album's not that expensive, and you get an awful lot of Uriah Heep and Spice on it. So check that out. If you're going to get Live in 73, the deluxe edition has a whole bunch of other stuff on it that I'm not going to cover because, again, it's live stuff and I wasn't going to cover any of that. But there's a whole nother radio show that was done, and then a remix for some kind of soundtrack. I don't know what that was all about, but those are all on the Live 73 deluxe edition. So check that out. If you get if there was a print version of it, I'm imagining there was. It must have been a double CD because there's no way you could fit all this onto one CD. I don't know if there was an LP of it released, but certainly in digital media, you can get it on iTunes right now. That's where I got this version. And obviously, it downloads seamlessly and all that good stuff. But yeah, a ton of material on both of those discs. So make sure that you check those out if you're interested. Even if you have Live in 73 and you want to check out the other versions of those songs, do so, because they're different recordings as far as I can tell. So very cool stuff, guys. Thank you very much for joining me for this season, the 27th seasons of the Magicians Podcast. God, we've been through a lot together, haven't we? So many songs. It'll be a total of 307 after we get done with next season. That's a lot of songs, most of which were recorded in the studio except for 12. So that's really good. What is that? 295 recorded songs in the studio, and then these 12 live tracks, if my math is correct in the moment. Hopefully it is. I'm usually pretty good at math. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me for this season. Thank you so much, Dave, for being a part of the bulk of it. I'm sorry you couldn't make it for this one, but you know what? Life happens. It gets in the way. So grateful for all the invaluable feedback and information that you provided during these and all the other episodes that you've been on as well. It's just been a great run of the show, guys. Looking forward to doing these last 6 songs while we wait for news on the new album. Again, I'll mention this in the next season, but just for those of you that may not want to listen to the next season, I'll say now. So right now, basically, the show is going to go into a hiatus until there is something else happening. There has been talk about some other things to do on the show, but so far nothing has come to fruition. So there may be some sporadic episodes here and there. I can't say that there won't. So I would say, please stay subscribed to whatever Podbean outlet or podcast outlet you're subscribed to. Podbean is the outlet that this is broadcast on. A lot of people do listen to the show on Podbean. I think the most actually come from, was it Spotify? I think I have the most listeners on Spotify. And then I think Apple Podcast was second. I can't remember now. But in any case, wherever you're listening, please stay subscribed so that you can see when new episodes come out. You can also check the website, scotthaskin.com, and then just click on the Uriah Heep link. I have all the seasons listed on that front page. And if you click on that season, then you can link into all the individual episodes that you might want to hear, because the main player only hosts like the last, I think, 20 or 40. But if you wanted to hear like the Magician's Birthday episode, you just go right to the website, click on the Magician's Birthday season, and boom, there's all the songs. Every one of those songs has its own player for its own individual episode. So it's all there, very neatly organized for anything that you guys might want to hear in any given moment. Maybe you're out and about and Blind Eye comes on your phone or your player or whatever, and you're like, I kind of want to listen to that episode again and see what it was all about. Boom, you just go right there to the website and they're all right there. So I tried to make it as simple and convenient as possible. Also, guys, looks like Heep was snubbed again for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've posted the link. It's on the website. It's on Uriah Heep's website. Please sign the petition to help get them inducted in for next year. It's never too late, guys. It's always possible. But, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a ridiculous injustice. They aren't in there. The fact that other bands that have made a musical history, like Iron Maiden, who I think are a very unique heavy metal or hard rock band, aren't in there yet. Dolly Parton was asked by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to be a part of it. It just makes no sense to me, guys. There's no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever. But at the bottom line, the end of the day, Heep should be a part of it. They were a huge innovator in rock and roll. They continue to be. I would even say metal now, as they've gotten so much heavier over the years. Their contributions over the last 52 plus years have been just heavy. And they should be honored by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They've already been honored by the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame in Europe. I don't know why we can't catch up. Seems like a typical thing with our Hall of Fame in Ohio there. So let's get them inducted, guys. Click on the link, vote. It costs you nothing but a minute or two of your life. And I'm sure that if you're listening to the show, you're a big enough fan, you'd be happy enough to do it. So thank you guys for joining me for this season. We'll see you on the next season, the Lansdowne tapes, talking about Spice. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!